funeral service of now slain eThekwini ANC Ward 17 councillor Sibusiso Khekhe is taking place in Klaarwater today. Khwela was fatally shot last week inside the Sizakala Centre while assisting community members. The motive for the killing is still under investigation, with the case now being handled by the SAPS Political Killings Task Team. ANC's First Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane will deliver the eulogy. For the latest on this funeral, we now cross to SABC News reporter Ayanda Mhlongo, who's at the Klaarwater Sports Ground. And thank you so much for your time. Perhaps for our viewers who are not familiar with just the kind of impact that Khwela had in his community, and we know that he was killed while serving the community. Could you please just tell us a little bit about his contribution and perhaps also give us a view of what we can expect at his funeral today?
A very good morning to you and a good morning to our viewers. Well, certainly the murder of councillor Khwela has really hit this community quite hard. Over the past week since his passing, we've engaged with not only the family but also community members from various sectors, with the religious leaders. We've spoken to those in transport. We've spoken to ordinary community members who are living and working in this particular area, and all had nothing but good things to say about Councillor Khwela, his contribution to this particular community, saying that this is a very quiet and peaceful area. It is very well developed. Even if you drive around this particular area, you can just see and that the residents here are saying there's a lot that he did to build this particular area. He served as a councillor for 2 terms. He's been described as a very dedicated and committed councillor, a councillor that was also on the ground in dealing effectively with the issues that communities raise. The people here will tell you, Diabo, that unlike other areas where there's constant protests over service delivery, this area, residents here were relatively happy with the services that we were getting, and all because of the work that they say Councillor Khwela did for them. He supported the communities in every way, and so this really has come as a huge knock for this community. Today, as we're expecting, you're starting to see mourners have started to arrive here at the Klaarwater Sports Ground, where his funeral service will be taking place. And of course, as you've said there, Diabo, that the eulogy will be delivered by the First Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, that's Nomvula Mokonyane. I've seen some leaders of the ANC here in the eThekwini region. Of course, this is the largest region of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, with 112 wards. I've also seen some of the most senior leaders of the ANC have also started to arrive. You also mentioned, quite importantly, Diab, of course, that the community and the family, Councillor Khwela's family, said that the news that the Political Killings Task Team, given its track record, that they're going to be leading this investigation, has brought some consolation for the family. And they've said, and whilst even if they make an arrest, it won't bring back Councillor Khwela, but at least they want to know who was behind his murder and what the particular motive may be. Of course, this has also brought about heightened concerns around the safety of public representatives, in particular councillors. We've heard for the African National Congress in eThekwini that in fact they've taken a step to write to the eThekwini Metro to ensure that measures are put in place to increase the security around public representatives. At this point, of course, as you were saying there, it's unclear what the motive for Councillor Khwela may be, especially since Diabo, he had indicated that he was not seeking a re-election in this election. And often or not, when we see incidents like this happen, where political leaders are assassinated, it is linked to, in some instances, political contestation. But in this particular incident, we do know that Councillor Khwela had indicated that he was not available, and in fact the candidate had already been selected, and so that process, we understand, for the ANC went quite well. well and quite smoothly. And in fact, he had put up his hand to say he's going to support the next leadership of the branch, but also he will then support the councillor that will be elected come November 4th elections. And so that has baffled a number of people at what could be the motive behind Councillor Khwela's killing. But let me move out of shot just for one last bit, just for our viewers to get a sense of what we're seeing here as the mourners start to trickle in to the Klaarwater Sports Ground. They've come to pay their final respects to Councillor Khekhe Khwela. Diabo?
Ayanda, you said something quite important about the safety or the concern around safety in the community. Could we be correct in assuming that up until the death of Councillor Khwela happened, the community had started to breathe a sigh of relief, perhaps at the number of incidents of death or violence that had been happening in the area? Could you just give us a little bit of explanation in that and what they had been seeing prior to this incident happening?
Absolutely, Diabo. Political leaders, and not just of the ANC, but other political parties as well, who've reflected on what has happened to Councillor Khwela, were saying that KwaZulu-Natal was relatively peaceful. There was a point in 2021 where we did see a surge of the killings of political leaders, particularly councillors. I think the numbers was around 18 in several months. And so since 2021, the province as a whole has been quiet. And so when this incident happened, it really has rocked not only this community of Klaarwater, eThekwini, but the province, bring about renewed fears of whether or not one is going to see the start of attacks on public representatives as well as leaders of political parties in their respective branches. We know that in the past we've seen that these incidents tend to happen or increase around the elections or in the build-up to the local government elections or the national elections. And of course, this is said to be linked to the hotly contested awards or positions within the respective political parties. So it has come, Diabo, definitely as a shock and as a concern across the political parties. But over the past week, since this incident, there has not been any other reported incident with an attempted attack on any political leader here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And I think most political parties have also said that they're putting their faith and hope on the work that has been done by the political killings task team, that it will work on this case and hopefully make an arrest and bring some light to what may have happened to Councillor Khwela. But certainly this incident has brought renewed fears around the safety of political representatives, public representatives rather, should I say, not only of those of the ANC, but across the political spectrum.